Alright, so going to the mainstream media for news is equivalent of going to a fast food restaurant because you've decided, man, I want to eat clean. I want to get healthy. So obviously, it's fast food and you're just going to get overweight and fat. The mainstream media, it's not a legitimate source for news because it's all owned by the same people, the elitists of Wall Street, which is why it doesn't matter if a Democrat or a Republican wins because at the end of the day, they're controlled by the elites of Wall Street, just like the media. So all the mainstream media is, at the end of the day, is a propaganda machine for, the president and the elite of Wall Street. What we want to do here at this channel is we want to give you good, clean food so you can, lose weight.
You gotta go on a diet here.
Pretty much we just want to get the news that you're not gonna get from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Because if you get all your food from the mainstream media, then you're just gonna live a really sad life where you're overweight and just not healthy. Alright, I'm Diaconus, and that was my intro.
Yes.
Alright, so my name is Hussein. I'm 20 years old. I like long walks on the beach. So basically, what we're gonna do here is what Diaconus said, is that we're just going to be, just flat out. We're not sponsored by anybody. We are not controlled by anybody. What we have to say, what we have to wear. We're just gonna be, upfront. We're not just gonna say, bullshit. There's gonna be real stuff in here too, because it's important for the people in America, for people all over the world, because especially in America, a lot of the media is controlled by corporations. When you think about it, there's only 6 corporations that control the entire American media. So that's a big problem, and we have to be very careful about what we say here to make sure that it's all truth, it's all straight facts, and and just roll with it. So that's it.
My name's Colton, or you just call me that. Colton. And what they said, we're not really crowdfunded or anything. We're just a bunch of dudes that talk about stuff, and that's important. It's important stuff, but yeah.
I am your father. I'm very disappointed with you, because you have been listening to bullshit your entire life, and you have not questioned it. My name is Jordy Pearl. Don't believe everything you're told. Look it up for yourself. Do your own experiments. Go outside and look at the world. Don't believe everything you're told on the news, on the radio, or whatever. Check your own sources. Check your own facts. Don't go to the YouTube comment thread to look for your professionals. Okay? Do your own research, god damn it. Don't just expect it to just be fed to you through a goddamn machine, okay? Everything's about the profit these days. Everyone wants to make money. They're only going to tell you the stories that make them money, okay? It's like eating sugar your whole damn life. Yes, it tastes really fucking good, but it ain't healthy for you, okay? You gotta eat your greens, you gotta eat your fruit, you gotta eat some meat every now and then, okay? You gotta have all the good stuff to keep your body running, okay? So do not just believe everything you're told. Go out, look for yourself, question your ideas, go and challenge yourself, alright? Maybe you believe in something. Ask somebody that believes in something else. See why they believe it, okay? Don't just come to the conclusion they stupid, they dumb, they ain't loyal, okay?
Why does the media suck? Why don't they give news, but it's, when you watch CNN, for instance.
No. The Clinton News Network.
The Clinton News Network, exactly. Man, the whole Democratic primaries, that shit. That's a mess we got to talk about.
Well, wait, hold on. That's another reason why we need a third-party, media outlet. Because if it wasn't for WikiLeaks, we would have never found out that the DNC, they rigged the election against Bernie Sanders. Like the Clinton News Network, ABC,
MSNBC, Fox.
Well, the thing is that
no one would ever cover that.
The thing is, news is monopolized. All right, you got to think about it that way. There's a bunch of big news networks, and there are small ones, but you don't really hear from the small ones.
Yeah, you don't.
So you got to support the small networks.
Like the Young Turks, RT.
Yeah, and remember, everyone has their own political views and stuff. Okay, everything is biased. Okay, even if you listen to
even
us, we're biased. Okay, everyone is biased because we all have our personal beliefs. We all believe in there's a certain way to run the country. There's a certain way the world should work. There's a certain way people should be, and in the end, everyone wants to be happy. Okay, everyone wants to be happy. No one really wants to go out and be a psychopath and kill people, unless you're the fucking Joker. All right, so we all want something, and we all we all just have a different way of approaching it, okay? Whether you're on the left, you're on the right, you're
Right.
somewhere in the middle, you're independent, doesn't matter. You all want to be happy.
Yeah.
We just don't know, we don't know how to get there, and there might not be a good way of getting there.
That's true.
But unless we, talk it out and figure it out instead of, just throw like, you're offensive, you're stupid, you can't be in my neighborhood and shit like that. Unless we get along and, actually talk it out, we're not gonna figure out the answer to any of these goddamn problems.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, we're not gonna be like, oh, all for, Democrats, all for Republicans. We're right there in the middle. If we see something, right, if we see something that's not right, it's just, it's against human rights. We gotta speak out about it
Breaks
because
the rules.
it's important. Because especially in today's world, where we have a medium where we can kind of like go to it and speak to people and speak our thoughts. Because nowadays it's very hard. When you see, every time you go on a major cable, you watch CNN and they're playing the same thing 24/7. Especially when there's like a big catastrophic thing, and then everything else doesn't matter. It's just that one thing, and it's just playing over and over. And then and you'll see like on the bottom, how like you'll scroll through. What is that called? That thing on the little.
I'm not really sure.
I think it's like
called the real news.
Yeah.
It's the real news. You see, the big headline is something.
REL.
And at the bottom is like major shit that's happening, and it's very small font. Nobody pays attention to it because.
Or at least something that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's
Exactly.
funny, like bro, that's a good point. Like I remember during the election, like they'll be talking about stupid stuff like tax returns or Trump. Let me see.
Well, basically, when it was Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, right? It was basically Bernie was the bad guy. Hillary is this beautiful woman who was going to save the nation, and Bernie was not getting any
Good media.
good media at all. It was Trump
Until he endorsed her.
until he endorsed her. Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta-
and then he subsequently bought
You gotta think of-
$600,000 house like right now.
You gotta think of
That's
the
not
news.
suspicious.
You gotta think of the news as any other TV
Yeah.
show or anything.
Exactly, reality show.
They have a target audience, okay? Everyone, they're always trying to appeal to somebody. Comedy Central is trying to appeal to like adults,
Yeah.
Cartoon Network and stuff like that are appealing to kids. News are appealing to people that have certain beliefs. Fox News is obviously it's more right leaning, while CNN and
Sure.
MSNBC are more left leaning.
Everybody
they're trying to.
else left leaning.
Yeah, somewhat like that. So everyone's trying to appeal to a certain audience. You're not going to go onto Fox News and say like we should bring in a bunch of immigrants in our country to make it better, because that's not what their target audience really wants to hear. You're not going to go on CNN and say we should
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Yeah, if you go against what their mantra is like you're the evil guy. They'll make sure that you look like an idiot on TV.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is the complete opposite. Everybody has their own right to speak what they think. If they think that immigrants should come into the country, Syrian immigrants or refugees, then so be it, because this is what we're all about: freedom of speech, and continue on about what we can do to better the world, to better everybody around us. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Forget all the money, forget all the luxuries that we have. Everything that we have is just it's like imaginary in some ways. We created it.
Like that.
But when it comes down to it, when you boil down everything, we're just human beings, and we all have our own perspectives of things, and we just have to be more open-minded and be thoughtful about each other's thoughts, but not attack them and not think that they're offending you because they go against what you believe in. That doesn't make any sense. So we're just gonna be talking the truth, speaking facts, and continue on from there, I guess, right?
I think another important thing is that labels are used way too often,
Oh, that's
like
true.
Democrat, Republican, and stuff,
That's
because
so annoying.
everybody has an assumption of what a label means, like SJW or racist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everyone will assume something. So if you use a label, people are going to try to fill you up in that box. They're going to start thinking like, oh, you might be ignorant and stuff like that.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
try not to use labels too much. When someone asks you about your political views and stuff, don't say, well, I'm Democratic or I'm Republican or something like that. Say, maybe I'm pro or anti-abortion and stuff like that. Give more specifics of your context. Don't try and fit into a specific party, because the problem is, especially with this election, I think that people put their party's agenda and their party and like the success of their party above the what the people want.
Exactly. Yeah.
So don't use labels, don't like say, oh, this person, is an SJW or a racist or they're a white supremacist and men's rights activists or something like that. So
Sure.
say maybe they believe in a certain thing, but make certain, don't try and label people. Don't generalize people. Don't say like all people from the Middle East are terrorists by default and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not all Muslims are bad. Not all Jews are money hungry. I'm money hungry, obviously.
I mean, he is.
Man, that's a big thing because as a society, you look at somebody like, oh, he's black, he's white, Asian, and all that stuff. It's like at the end of the day, we're just one race, and that's the human race. Bottom line. So when people want to be like, unfortunately, we live in a society where where you have to sign up, or when you want to become a citizen, what are you? You're Asian, you're Native American, you're white, you're Hispanic. So it's like I think that when we come to a conclusion as an entire race, as a human race, where we don't label people as those things, I think that that's when we will actually achieve world peace. But at the end of the day, when we're all like looking at each other differently because we are educated on the fact that as babies growing up, like this person is that person, and that's it. We won't get anywhere as a race, but we'll see how it goes.
World peace, that's the thing. Everyone, I think people use the word peace a lot, but don't really have a specific definition.
Sure, that's true.
We think of peace as just like no war, just everything's happening.
Which we're pretty. I mean, we're already pretty close to. Like I know there's. Well, yeah. I mean, we're already pretty close to that. I mean, I know there's a lot of shit that's like, oh yeah, you got these ISIS guys, these guys,
right?
But that's really in the Syrian civil war.
Yeah.
But that's really only as far as like war conflict that there's going on right now, and also like a little bit in Africa too. But as far those are the only two things, and from what it used to be, I mean that's a pretty big achievement, and it's only happening in a few isolated places and on different continents.
Yeah.
That's
the problem I have with peace is that people assume that you can either be in a peacetime or a wartime, and I think that you can be in both at the same time, and that neither are mutually exclusive. You can't be in peace without war, because the thing is, conflict brings people together while separating them at the same time.
That's true.
When we think of world peace, we think of everyone coming together as a society, or the entire world as like an international community. But honestly, if we look at history and we just look at humans in general, I don't really even think that's possible. I think we're, no matter what you do, no matter, what the time period is, no matter if, everyone looks exactly the same, you can't even, see anybody. If you, put a bowl around your head and just only heard and could touch things, people would still, find reasons not to get along, because we're selfish, it's just how people are. It's a genetic thing, it's biological, it's just how we are. We're a social species, but at the same time, self-preservation is our main mantra, we just can't, defy that. And we obviously, the pursuit of peace is great and all, but we have to, think about how we approach it. We can't just, say that we should, assimilate everybody, get them to, conform to our ways in order to get peace. It's got to be a mutual bond.
I mean, I think everybody, especially the culture. I think what actually it is at the end of the day is just culture, right? So when you are a Middle Eastern, for instance, or even Russian, you want to come over to somewhere to America, or you want to go to France or whatever. You're just trying. It's a mix of culture. I think that's what's important. You know what I mean? Because that's what really brings out the humanity in all of us, right? Is where we respect each other, we share each other's foods. That's a big thing, and we just kind of mix together as far as thoughts and feelings, and just kind of get into that groove right there.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible for us to really get to a point of peace where we all think identically and we all have the same vision.
No, exactly. No.
I think instead what we should strive for is tolerance and acceptance.
Yeah.
That everyone should be able to speak their mind openly. And this is why First Amendment, just praise it. It's the best thing in the world that I think everyone should adopt, but I get, it's a culture thing, so you can't all adopt it. But the ability to express your beliefs and your feelings about, how the world should work and how people should interact with each other
Yeah.
is something that everyone should be able to withstand. You shouldn't, be offended by what people
Of course.
say about why they believe something. You
Of
shouldn't be
course.
offended by someone's, background or belief. You should just be able to accept it and move on.
Sure.
You might not be able to conform everybody to believe the same thing you do.
Or maybe not accept it, debate it, discuss it.
Exactly.
Instead of just being like, the whole classic thing is
Exactly,
like,
and that's
it's like, you think that that the wage gap doesn't exist? You're a fucking sexist pig. Like instead of discussing it.
Exactly. That's like, it just ends the argument there. And that is another thing that I just really hate about when it comes to political debates. It's all about, what did the other person do wrong, rather than what can I do right, and how can we get along. And
Sure.
I went to the Patrick Murphy and Marco Rubio debate at UCF because that's where I go.
Yeah.
Throw that out there.
And
And
so if you want to stop
the whole time,
You did
The
this.
whole time.
You did this. You did
exactly, it's what did he do wrong? What did you do wrong?
Right.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? He won't do this. He won't do
this.
that.
Instead of focusing on the real issues.
Exactly. It's like, well, what are you gonna do? That's
Yeah.
what's more important. It's not what you did or why we shouldn't vote for you. Obviously, it's an important thing, but that shouldn't be everything. You should
Right.
at least, discuss, how can we bring people together? Because at the end of the day, we're a society. We need to get along. We have to work together, even if we don't like each other. We got to figure out a way to live together.
Exactly.
Because if we don't live together, we're gonna fail together. Okay, it racks my mind. But it's just how people are. It's
And I
everything
think-
we discuss.
I think a
in
big
that.
part of that is the media saying like you gotta hate this group of people for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Not right now.
And religion.
It's not that. It's not like they say it outright. They just say it, the way they word it.
Small hints like
Yeah.
It's subtly.
Well, they just drill into your head, like,
Exactly.
like,
If you say something
like
enough
Fox
times.
News.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the old saying, you throw enough shit on the wall, some of it
Exactly.
sticks.
You say it enough times, people are going to
That's
believe
so
it. You
true,
say
yeah.
that if all you ever hear is that
great again.
if all you ever hear is
Go to
that
the wall.
If all they-
go against China and
Wrong.
wrong.
no, but seriously, if all you ever hear is that Muslims are terrorists and they're bombing us and they're killing us, you're going to believe that every single one of them is out to kill us.
And the funny thing is like, which I saw on the FBI's website, is that 94% of terrorist attacks done in America are done by non-Muslims.
It's domestic. It's domestic more than foreign. We're afraid of them coming over here to bomb us, which is
Exactly.
certainly a threat.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people here that are already convinced that we're a terrible society, that we're that everything is doomed because we
Yeah.
nail it into their heads that there's something fundamentally wrong with this country that can't be fixed.
Yeah.
We nail it into people's heads so hard that they believe we might as well blow up and start all over again.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I also think it has something to do with being whether or not you're a sociopath or not. And, just because, Timmy made fun of you in high school, you're like, you know what, I'm just going to bring my AR-15 to school and, and just kill everybody.
And that's not a joke. Me and Colton here, we literally know somebody that has literally been bringing knives to school. This is not even a joke. No, seriously. If you put these notions in a person's head and they are not stable,
Yeah.
and even if they are stable, it still might not be enough.
Yeah.
If you put these ideas in a person's head long enough, they're going to be convinced of it. And it is so hard to change a person's views once they've been convinced of something.
Yeah.
It is so hard. It's a religious indoctrination, political indoctrination. Once you put ideas in someone's head, it is so hard to change it because we're very egotistical. Every person is egotistical. We believe what we believe is right. That is everyone is like that.
Yeah.
And if you are not willing to hear someone else's ideas out and try and understand why they believe it, then you've already lost the argument. You've already lost. You're not even worth debating. Your ideas have no basis if you can't even comprehend why the other side exists.
It's true. I think that's one of the biggest reasons for why we have so much conflict right now. Nobody wants to sit down and and debate about the issues. Like recently, my friend on Facebook posted this picture about this immigrant that got arrested and deported.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you expect? He broke the law.
Sure, yeah.
And instead of engaging in an actual debate with me, she threatened to block me. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's like
Like you want to block, but I thought you wanted to start a debate here. So
kind of discussion. That's really all it is. And nowadays, you can actually filter what you want to see and what what you want and don't want to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's very, very dangerous. I think. You know what I'm saying? The same way how you pointed it out. She wanted to block you all because you thought that unfortunately this guy he came into this country illegally and he got caught and he has to get sent back. Unfortunately, that's a fact, and he has to get separated from his family. At the end of the day, I think that everybody has this thought where we wish the best for everybody. But unfortunately, we have these rules and we have laws, and to make our society as a whole better. Not that I think that the immigrant who got deported was a bad person or anything. They're probably a great person. He was a great person and everything. But unfortunately, to make to have a society where not everybody's going nuts and going crazy, we have to have these little laws and rules.
And that brings up another important thing, censorship. And
Yeah.
I think when people generally think of censorship, they bring up nudity and inappropriate content and stuff. But ideas
Yeah.
are always getting censored,
Yeah.
especially on social media, on the internet and stuff. And it's a very dangerous thing when you censor ideas.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of ideas there that you might not agree with. Some that
Sure,
people in general disagree with. Like mass murder and stuff like that. Most people, I would imagine, don't agree with that. But if you try and just block out those ideas, it gets to the point where you're in your own safe space,
Yeah.
and it's happening right now.
Yeah.
We kind of joke about it a lot, but it's very dangerous to block out ideas. As we were saying before, with the whole egotistical and reinforcing your ideas to the point where you're unmoved. If we try and censor ideas and stuff, it just gets to the point where we can't even communicate with each other. We literally just put a dividing line between these ideas and these ideas, and it's happening right now with like SAW and MRA and Republican, Democrat, and all this stuff. It's the reason there's so much division is because these censorship of ideas.
Yeah.
It's polluting our minds because we don't hear this information, and therefore we assume that it doesn't exist or that there's nothing positive from the other side. It's just I don't know.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. So Dykinus, you said you found something earlier last night. Right?
Breaking news.
Breaking news alert.
Here.
Let us know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so right before I went to bed last night, I went on Pornhub.
Hey, come on, we all do that.
That was before.
No censoring ideas. We all go to Pornhub, okay? Don't deny it, even if you agree on it.
I
maybe
use
not
X and
Pornhub.
XX.
Okay, fine. RedTube, alright. Same thing.
porn.com.
I might have to.
Browse is pretty
No.
good. It's.
So no problem.
Alright.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Hey, that's a great segue from censorship to breaking news. Okay, come on, let's get that out of the way.
That's true.
Alright, so I went on WikiLeaks.com, which is a very reliable source,
Important.
and it showed that the USA has been given military weapons and vehicles, along with trading to Yemen. Now this is really interesting because we also give weapons to Saudi Arabia. Back when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, Bill Clinton, he went to Saudi Arabia. He gave a speech, and they paid him a few $100,000.
Interesting. Okay.
And then, right after the payment for the speech, there was a weapons deal that Hillary Clinton approved, and then we sent a whole bunch of weapons to Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is actively at war with Yemen right now.
Wow. Okay.
But wait, we just gave weapons and
Right. It's
military
weird.
training.
It's weird how that works.
Actually, it's not weird. We've been doing that for a long
Forever,
time.
yeah,
supplying both
exactly.
sides. And this
Yeah.
is really scary about war. Not just, the actual battle itself, but that war is literally an industry. Weapons, supplying soldiers and
Right.
stuff. It is literally an industry where money is more important than people's lives at this point. We've been doing this for a long time. It's
It's also like it's kind of like a weird like little like proxy war thing where it's like, all right, let's give these weapons to these people and see what happens.
And this is why military spending really concerns me, because what we're doing with that
$600 billion, right?
we're making more sophisticated weapons all the time. But what are we doing with those weapons? What are we doing with these guns that can basically shoot for themselves? What are we doing with these drones and stuff?
Saudi Arabia.
I mean, well, the reason why our military is so expensive is because we have literally hundreds of bases all around the world that we have to maintain and supply and employ people that work there and build weapons for them, and it'd be a lot less expensive if it was like even half.
But do we need all those bases?
Actually, like
No, we don't.
We don't need.
We don't need like 99% of them, but we have them because we want more influence.
We have weapons. We have weapons all over the world. We're in an age where we could blow up the world thousands of times over, and still have enough munitions to go around.
Yeah.
We could send an army to Mars and have a planetary battle if we really felt like it. I mean, why do we need all these arms? And that might be a debate for a completely different time. But just think about it.
Yeah.
Think about why we need all these weapons.
All right, so going back in topic, like the WikiLeaks showed that we sent $147 million worth of weapons to
Yemen.
to Yemen. Now, like, how do you guys feel about that? That we're giving weapons to Yemen and we're training them, but at the same time we're giving money to Saudi Arabia.
It's the same thing about how what happened to Al Qaeda back in the 80s when they were, Afghanistan, when Afghanistan was going against the Soviet Union, right? America stepped in as America usually does, and basically trained them, gave them weapons, and look what happened. They wanted to go into Iraq, ISIS, right? And now we're bombing like 6-7 different countries right now. And a lot of people don't know that, and especially when you live in a country that's so militarized and is police of the world really, and a lot of people don't know what's happening on the other side of the globe. That's when you know that the media is bullshit. Like the major media outlets, they're all bullshit. They're all paid by the same people one way or another. They want to basically tell you what they want to tell you. And now it really kind of gets to the point where we're trying to make. What we're trying to make is that, the shit that's going on is very, 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 how do you say it? It's just
fucked up.
It's just fucked up. Go ahead.
This is why it's so important to do your own research.
Yeah.
You need to figure out these things for yourself. You cannot expect to just
like
hear
research.
about it. Like, we don't know everything. We don't know what's going on around the world.
Yeah.
We can only hear about it.
Yeah.
But you gotta do your own research. You gotta get involved. You can't just stand by and expect these results.
More than just research, okay? You gotta research. You gotta go to websites that conflict your ideas, your beliefs. You just go to the same website over, like, if you're staunch liberal, you go to fucking Huffington Post.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah,
that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That's just kind of feeds into your self-confirming.
And don't just take secondary sources. Take primary sources. Look at the newspapers that are from those countries themselves. You might not be able to read them. It might be in a different language, but try and hear what they're saying, because those are the people that are involved in this. We're just watching. We're on the stand. We're just looking at it. We don't really see everything that's going on.
All the stuff that we're talking about right now is basically from what we see, like from WikiLeaks or from different articles. Like, this is what like our core is. We're just here to discuss and to tell the people that are watching this that these are important things that we have to follow. These are not things that need to be put off to the sideburn, and just take it easy. And I hope that from the videos that we post and everything like that, you guys enjoy them, and hopefully that we kind of open your mind up a little bit. We're not here to blame people. We're just here to tell you what's really going on from all aspects
But more than that, we don't know. The thing is, we don't really know what's going on.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's why, if you should take anything away from this, it's do your own research.
Yeah.
Look into it yourself. Try and find out as much as possible. If you want to know what's going on in other country, you got to really look into it. You can't just, more than just going on online and looking up information.
Exactly.
Try and find news articles. Try and listen to people that have been to the area or are familiar with it, or even travel.
Really,
Don't
travel. Go to that country that we're talking about, if possible, and see for yourself. You'd be very surprised.
because we don't know. We
Exactly.
don't know. We haven't been there.
Exactly.
All we know is what we hear.